I was amazed how cheap it is to get mail order cycling stuff.
Right, yeah, I was going to say that.
Everyone thought
So cheap!
It's alive! Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Welcome to Empire of Geek, and if you've never listened to the show before, if it's your first time, this is a podcast about where I get some of my chums round and we chat about geeky stuff that I found. And I always try and find stuff that maybe a little bit different. Some of it, we cover some mainstream stuff, but I like to find some just downright weird stuff. And also pry into the lives of my chums, sometimes interesting, sometimes strange, sometimes just a barrel full of misery. Paul. So, on the show this week, you've got me, Steve. You've also got Paul.
Hello.
How are you, Paul?
Hello.
We'll ask you a little bit about how you are in a minute.
Okay.
We've got Dr. G.
Hello.
On the show. We've also got first-timer popping his Empire of Geek cherry, Rick. How are you, Rick?
Not too bad, thank you.
It's good to have you on the show. We'll start with you, actually.
Nice to be here.
Well, good. It's good to have you. So, Rick, you are, just to describe you to the... I'll give a little rundown on all of you before I let you properly introduce yourself. So, Rick, to describe you, you do programming.
Yes.
And you're a cock for hire, aren't you? You can be... This is something more recently you've got into. Women can rent you, and you'll go around their house and you will jizz into a mug for them. That is true, isn't it?
Well, that would be more testicles for hire.
Yeah, bollocks for hire, that's what you are,
bollocks
yeah.
for hire, yeah.
You're a stud. A modern day a stud. That's what you would be described as.
Sounds like a high-class prostitute.
I do it for the
thrills.
for the good of the people that I'm doing it for.
The people that haven't been born yet, you mean?
Well, for lesbian couples that don't have much of an option. Sometimes women.
You force yourself on them. Is that what you mean?
No, he's not a rapist. He's actually providing a service.
A free service at that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But they pay for your expenses, though, don't they?
Some do.
Hand tissues, stuff like
hand
that.
sanitizer. Yeah, that's very good.
What sort of fucking reality have I just walked into here?
There is
this
a world of...
This is a world of...
men milking themselves to order.
Sperm donation and co-parenting.
Yeah.
If you've not heard of co-parenting, it's a bit like where you're in a relationship, you have children and it breaks down, but you still both want to look after the children and share the parental duties there. This is where two people get together at the beginning and decide that they want to share the parental duties, but they're not interested in the relationship to begin with.
I see.
So that's what Rick does. Florian, you are a physicist.
Yep.
A lover. You have a wonderful mane of hair. And you've got the oldest looking phone in the universe with you.
I thought you were going to say the oldest looking face, which is also true, yes.
No, I think you're looking very young. Considering, I think you look younger than when we started on the podcast.
That is probably true as well, yeah.
Yeah, you've regressed almost to a youthful state.
Well, I've given up my main job and I'm now looking after a baby, so that's brilliant. I can only heartily recommend it.
You look like you've maybe slimmed down a little bit as well.
I have, yeah. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, podcast listeners, do you notice that if you're a returning listener, can you notice that Florian's voice is not quite so chunky as it used to be?
He's looking quite chilled out, actually.
He is. He's looking good. It's looking good for him.
He does. Yeah, he does.
So, would your advice be leave your job?
If it's a shit job, yeah, then definitely leave it.
And then finally, not looking quite so chilled out, we've got Paul. You are a lover of film, a lover of young women a lot younger than you, a lover of love, we could say. So how have you been?
Yes, that is true. I am in love with the idea of love.
Yeah.
But it's just an idea. It's a fantasy. It's a myth.
Yay.
It's not real.
Are we going to go through other things and inventions that Paul might like, such as text messaging?
So before we get on with the show, I want to know how you've been recently, and we'll start with you, Paul, before we get on to the meat of this kind of sci-fi sandwich. How have you been recently, Paul? And is there anything you'd like to get off your chest for us and the listeners?
Well, I think there are 4 things that you need to have in your life that make you happy. I think you need to have your home, where you live. That needs to be a contented place. You need to have your job. That needs to be a contented place.
It sounds like you're dodging telling us what I want to hear.
You need to obviously have your, your love life needs to be in order, and your family needs to be in order as well. If those 4 things are not in order, then you're not going to be as happy as you might be. If all 4 things are not quite there, you're going to be a miserable fucker, aren't you?
So how have you been recently anyway? So all this...
I'm fucking miserable. No.
You've had a bit of a tough time, haven't you?
Well, it's been up and down.
Now, before the show started, you said that you received a text message, didn't you? From an ex-girlfriend.
I did, yes.
And you said that you didn't want us to mention it, which...
That's right, so you're going to mention it, aren't you?
I just think that...
Oh, don't say it in a sly sort of, a coy sort of... It's not even a Steve way. You're usually belligerent. You usually go in there with like an axe and chop it in half, don't you?
Imagine this is your first show. We know it's a geeky podcast, and we're getting to know... Even if you've listened to it a few times, they know us a little bit, but... They want to know a little bit about you as a person before we get into it. So, and you received a text message, a relationship broke down, and you said to this girl, what were the reasons why it broke down?
Well,
she fucking then sent the most evil message known to man.
Yeah, which was quite shocking, quite surprising in actual fact, yeah.
And I think, just
the worst thing I've ever received anyway. I mean, usually you sort of, if you split up with a partner, then it's usually quite amicable, isn't it? You kind of go your own way, generally speaking.
And this has made you feel shitty this week. So this is something.
Well, it's just been a bit. It's just a bit of a shock because she was obviously somebody that I quite liked, and I was quite surprised at the way that she decided to character assassinate me.
So would it be possible? I don't know about. I've already heard it. The listeners haven't heard it.
Yeah, they're not.
Rick's not heard it. Yeah. Florian's not heard it. Would we like to hear the message?
No, we're not going to hear the message.
I don't know because. A girl asked me on Tinder. I said, "Look,
Rick's on the market, ladies.
No point in us talking. It's not really going to go anywhere." And she was like, "Oh right, why?" And I was like, "Well, do you actually really want the truth?" And she said yes. And then, having spoken to women, they've said no. That was something she can't do anything about. It's something that you just shouldn't say because it can absolutely destroy a person's self-confidence.
Or sense of themselves, I suppose. Well, actually, just made me angry because I thought it was the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard in my entire life.
You've got it open in front of you now, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, so, go on, just read it out for the listeners.
I think it can be.
I shan't.
It can be a bit painful hearing.
Oh, then, can I summarise it then?
It sounds like you've already decided you're going to anyway.
Oh, then I'll summarise it then. She accused you of animal cruelty. She accused you of your house stinking of piss. She said you're the tightest man she'd ever met. She said that you live like a student. And what was it she said? And
you're an artist, of course you're going to live like a student.
Oh, that was the other thing that I'd suggested that I might like to live an artist's bohemian life.
You want to live off her
and have her sort of sitting by my side while knitting or something whilst I was doing my painting.
Now that's not what would spring to mind as an artist. Having a young beautiful woman there knitting. Really?
Well,
that's what
no.
she thinks.
I wanted her. She was near to the point. I wanted her as some sort of muse.
Yeah, exactly.
A sexual object which I could just use whenever I felt like. That's where she got it wrong. I mean, knitting. You're right. No, she was a sexual object. I mean, it was some time ago now that I received this message, but nevertheless, it was quite shocking. Like I say, anyone who knows me knows that about 75% of that is true, but there's at least 25% of that isn't true.
No, I think a lot of it wasn't true.
All of it wasn't true.
She said that you're
None
selfish.
of it was true.
She said you're selfish. She said you just talk about yourself all the time. She said that you're needlessly... what was it she said?
I think
she said that you're really airy-fairy when you talk about stuff. And she says you go on. Oh, sorry, I'm writing you a text message at the moment. Anyway, Florian, how have you been recently?
I have been very good, thank you.
What have you been up to? Maybe looking after babies.
Looking after babies, yeah. that's pretty much my job at the moment, and I'm absolutely loving it.
And a noble task it is too.
It is, yes.
Would you ever lock a sick cat in a kitchen and leave it for a whole weekend?
Right out loud.
That's not well.
I didn't, by the way. I didn't lock a sick cat in a cupboard or a drawer or whatever it was.
I've got several cats, and they I don't know. I tried to treat them well. They tried and. Who am I kidding? They're not trying to treat anybody well. They're cats, for God's sake.
Selfish cats.
Yeah, you have to convince them that, they've got a good deal out of it.
That sounds a bit like selfish cats as well.
Yes.
Paul.
I'm a selfish cat, am I? Hello, ladies.
And finally, Rick, what have you been up to recently? Tell us. Tell us a tale.
I have a very boring life.
Can you
at the moment,
express
so
it?
I don't think masturbating into cups is boring. It's quite exciting.
I have travelling around the country masturbating into cups.
Travelling around the country wanking.
Can you express
I mean,
that in C++?
Who can say on their passport that that's their job description? It's brilliant.
Is it true that if they are repeated customers of yours, you give them like a tour T-shirt, which has all the notable dates of your upcoming season?
No, that's not true, but it might be something to go into the diary to arrange.
Right, so let's move on then. So I'm going to talk quickly about recent cool shiz. Stuff that's happened recently, which you may or may not be aware of. We're going to run through this reasonably quickly, because this is something that most other podcasts would probably deal with. But we're going to talk about it, because we've got to. First of all, anyone's been watching Game of Thrones recently?
No.
It's freaking ace!
I've got to get into this because
Episode 2, watched it last night.
And I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but a certain person who everyone knew was going to come back to life has come back to life.
You could tell me every single plot twist out of Game of Thrones, and you wouldn't spoil anything for me.
You have no intention of watching it?
No.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I love it. What was it? Ian McShane, who played Lovejoy? He has a bit part in this season, and someone asked him about it, and he said it's basically tits and dragons. And that is it. It's spot on. I'm enjoying it at the moment because I can see that Ramsay Bolton, who's a dick, who, again, this is a spoiler, so stop listening for a minute, he murdered his father, who was an arsehole, but a clever arsehole, wasn't he? He has fucking screwed himself over now by killing his dad. His dad was one of the architects of the Red Wedding, which killed off Robb Stark and Catelyn Stark, Mama Stark. Now he's not there. He ain't really planning the battle scenes, and I think that the returning Jon Snow is going to kick his arse. Can't wait. But Ramsay Bolton, or Ramsay Snow, because he's a bastard child, he did feed his stepmother to some hounds and his brother, so stepbrother. So it's been an exciting week in Game of Thrones.
It wasn't Snow, he was something else.
It was Ramsay Snow. Because he was born in the north. Anyone born in the north who's a bastard gets the name Snow.
I didn't think he was, but...
Yeah, I'm sure, because he's northern, so...
Yeah.
Also, Captain America Civil War has been out. Just recently I went to watch it. Rick, you've been to see it. Florian, have you had a chance?
I've got a baby.
Is that your answer for most of this?
That's
baby?
Pretty much, yeah. Unless it's on Amazon Fire, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's... You weren't seeing it, it's a franchise.
I want to see it. I want to see that.
Oh, come on, look, I'm coming around to your way of thinking. I am. I'm gradually getting there. That's not all franchise movies are bad. Yeah. And that there is some merit in them. They can be good individual movies, they can.
Marvel films, I think, have all been good.
Yeah. So
far. Even Ant-Man, which I repeatedly said was going to be shit.
The last movie I went to go and see was the one with you. When we went to go and see... another Marvel movie. It was with the students, didn't we? The university students.
Oh, we went to see Deadpool.
That was really good.
I was going to say
Fox,
Deadpool because, like, you're handsome chaps, and you might want to go to the cinema together.
We did
to watch a rom-com.
Yeah,
we would. I'm okay with my sexuality.
It's a dark place, isn't it? Where
two grown men it was a dark place. I was going to put it, but let's be clear about this. If we were going to be intimate, I would be pitching, and Paul would be catching. And it's not just me saying that. I've asked a few people, and they all agree that Paul would be my bitch.
That is rubbish.
Oh, you would, with your pretty little face.
Would you like to do bad things for my pretty little face?
You wouldn't be facing me. So, Captain America: Civil War. It's really good. I I think it lived up to the hype. I enjoyed it, and it made up for me. We mentioned Rob gave a review, or Raoul, on a previous podcast about Batman vs Superman, which I've been looking forward to since they announced it 2 or 3 or even more years ago, and it destroyed my faith in superhero films, Batman vs Superman. But Civil War, again, another film about heroes fighting each other, renewed it and some. It has characters I liked. Batman vs Superman was just 2 wankers fighting. The storyline was intelligent. The villain actually was a good, solid villain. He wasn't someone that you would hate. You understood why he was a bad dude. And he had a good reason for doing it. It wasn't just, as in the case of Batman vs Superman, Lex Luthor had no real reason to be an arsehole. No real reason to do any of the stuff he did. Whereas Baron Zemo...
Insane.
Yeah, other than he's insane. But still, it doesn't make sense.
Insanity really does make sense, to be fair.
For someone who's insane, he was very good at doing stuff like breaking into an alien spaceship and creating Doomsday.
Hey, there's a franchise movie in the making. You could find out why Lex Luthor was the way that he was. A pre-movie about Lex Luthor.
Because they spent too long coming up with fight sequences and not thinking about character development. That's why.
They do it in other movies.
Screw you, Zack Snyder.
They've done it in Star Wars, haven't they?
Star Wars, again, I like Star Wars. I like the characters in it. But anyway.
Maleficent is another one.
Stop freaking naming films at me. Captain America Civil War, I liked it. Rick, did you like it?
Yeah, I did. One thing that Superman vs Batman did quite well was they felt like superhero fight scenes. I felt a bit underwhelmed with the fight scenes in Captain America Civil War. It didn't feel superhero-y enough. It didn't feel like juggernauts, like...
we didn't have Hulk and Thor in it. If they'd have fought each other, then it would have been... yeah, I agree with that, actually.
The one at the airport, mainly, felt a bit weak.
Like a fight in a car park.
It did feel a bit like...
But with a giant in it.
A bunch of guys in the car park. One great big guy who's like 8 foot tall, who's slowly slugging around all over the place, whilst all the rest of the people are running around after each other.
Yeah,
I don't know how they managed to do that. Were there airplanes during the 1800s then? Were there any scenes to do with Gettysburg in it at all?
Get out now.
You're
You're not going to read your text message. It was, there have been other civil wars.
So it wasn't set in the American Civil War then?
No.
It was sort of, southern superheroes and northern superheroes.
No, it wasn't about the Roundheads and the Cavaliers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway...
It's the American Civil War, I suppose it says.
Captain America Civil War. I agree with that. Zack Snyder does very good fight scenes. Well done him. It was good fight scenes, but I need more than a fight scene. I want to care about the characters.
There's not enough glue in Superman vs Batman to kind of tie it together.
Last time when me and Paul went to see a film, there was plenty of glue flying everywhere.
It was glue.
I had the same
glue,
thing. I thought,
not glue.
No.
It was brilliant.
I won't go there, but I will. And the other thing news is Netflix have announced a Punisher series. Daredevil season 2 recently came out. The Punisher was in it, played by John Bernthal, who was in Walking Dead. Played Shane in that. He was brilliant in it, and now they've announced a series based on the Punisher, which I think is great news, and it's going to be awesome.
All the Punisher movies that I've seen, and there may be many more that I haven't, the 2 that I've seen, in other words, were disappointing. They were really Dolph Lundgren and the other one.
Thomas Jane, and then you also had Ray...
Yeah, I'm sure there were more, but I just didn't like them.
Yeah, I think... The best Punisher film up until the Punisher was in the Daredevil Netflix thing was Thomas Jane was in a special little one called something like Laundry Day or something it was called, and it was a little mini one-off based on one of the comics, and it was really good. But I liked him in Daredevil.
Yeah,
he was good. It was good. And then finally, is our recent cool shiz. I don't know if I can use the word shiz. It sounds a little bit...
Like something else.
No, not that. I just think it sounds like a bit of a dick using it. But
Shiz my nizzle. You could say that.
Actually, now you've said it, I did sound like a dick. And then Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters film. I mentioned the other week on the show that they brought a trailer out and it said 30 years ago, 4 scientists or whatever saved New York. Turns out it's not a reboot. It's not a continuation, the new one with the female casting. It's a complete reboot, which I'm not happy about. I want this to be the same world.
They are. Because I thought the movie was going to have a lot of
continuation. It is, yeah.
Oh, so
I thought it was a continuation. I thought it was basically you'd had the Ghostbusters film. 30 odd years later, another team of all women decided to set up their own Ghostbusters thing.
Right.
And a trailer that they released before showed the old kind of fire station.
Yeah.
And it said 30 years ago,
yeah,
some scientists saved New York, whatever. And I thought clearly this is a follow-on from it, but they've now announced that was misleading, and actually it's a complete reboot, which I don't like. And they've recently announced that Ghostbusters, the trailer, is the least popular movie trailer of all time on YouTube at the moment.
I have to say, in my head, I've been looking forward to seeing this. I'm really excited. I'm excited about watching it.
I don't think you can see it in your head. I think you need to go to the cinema.
You would need to do that.
That's where you've been going wrong.
I've been making up this entire fantasy movie in my head, haven't I? I'm looking forward to seeing. Well, I think I'm looking forward to seeing it, but there's something that's niggling in the back of my head, which is it's never going to be as good as the first one, and the second one was all right. I wonder whether or not the third one's just going to be a big pissing disappointment.
It's not the third one anymore, though. I didn't mind it being in the same world.
But it is Ghostbusters 3, isn't it? Or is it Ghostbusters
It's a reboot.
with women?
It's a reboot, complete reboot.
So it's not going to be called Ghostbusters then?
Everything that went before does not exist, and it's just they've come to creating the proton packs and all that other shit. Now, part of the reason why it's
have
unpopular,
nothing to do with.
Well, it's called Ghostbusters, and they fight ghosts.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a different continuity. It's a whole different dimension that exists in.
No, I don't.
And I don't like that.
No, I don't think I like it either.
But that's what Hollywood does, though. I mean, it's a couple of years since Andrew Garfield played Spider-Man, isn't it? About time they re-released another.
There is a new Spider-Man. Tom Holland, and he's bloody good. He's in Civil War.
And yes, he was the second of the. He was after all the credits finished. There was an additional end sequence.
Are they going to do another origin stories then?
No, they've said they're not going to do it.
Because there have been 2 in recent. There's the Ramos one.
There won't be another Spider-Man origin story. Yeah. Marvel have said they're not going to do any more origin stories apart from, I think, Doctor Strange, which comes out later this year, which is about the Sorcerer Supreme, Benedict Cumberbatch. In it, yeah. He's that's going to be the last origin story I think they'll do. All the other heroes will be introduced in, and if they need to tell you a backstory, it'll be told. I don't know, either along the way as the story goes on, because people don't want continuous origin stories.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So
you've missed the most important news off of this week.
Oh, Robert Jordan, yes.
Robert Jordan's The World of the Wheel of Time will be coming to the small screen as a mini-series.
Is that because they've done Chronicles of Shannara? And that's like the third, who wrote that? It's one of the Write by Numbers authors. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, I've seen it advertised. In fact, I think it might be on Netflix. I've not watched it. If it is, I saw that Robert Jordan story. Then I thought of you because when we went to school together, me and Rick did, and you used to always be reading it, and you'd say, "Oh, you want to read this?" And it'd be like, "Oh, how many books is there? 1,000,000 books."
and then he died.
And then he died. Like George R.R. Martin's probably going to do before he finishes Game of Thrones, I reckon, because he's a big fellow and he's a big fat sailor, and he's not getting any younger.
And he's not finished the books, and they started the series before they finished.
Yeah.
Before the book series was finished. Luckily, he was around to give them all the inside info on the story arcs, so they can actually film.
It wasn't sudden death. Did he gradually die? Or was it gradual death, or did he die?
Robert Jordan died of cancer, I think.
Amyloidosis.
Something
cardioamyloidosis.
So he was able to kind of give direction and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Is it his son or something? Is it his son who took it on, or did get another writer?
A separate author who was already writing books for the same publisher.
Right.
Yeah, it took a long time for what's it, George Finkley Jr. or something like that. The guy whose pseudonym is Robert Jordan, to come around to actually letting somebody finish off the series. Yeah,
I remember the signs in the Waterstones. Do you remember the times when people still bought books? And they had a sign in the Waterstone saying, "Please do not ask a member of staff when the next Wheel of Time book will come out. We don't know."
So it's going to be a series. So that's going to be, if they get the budget behind it, like a...
Yeah.
I mean, how long can the series be?
It's 14 books, so at least 14 series. The books are, tombstones.
They get longer. They got longer as well as the series got on, didn't they?
They waxed and waned around 300 and something to 400,000 words, I think.
Did you tell me you wrote the name of the characters down to remember them?
I did go through on my third read through of the book up to books in the series up to something like book 11. There are about 1,000 named characters and 300 characters who were repeatedly in the books.
That's a lot.
There are, rather.
I predict there won't be as many characters in the series.
It would be really.
They could do it.
Difficult.
What about if they got one man to play all the roles?
unless they film a scene in the street somewhere and just go, "These are all the characters."
Sort of Mary Poppins Bert.
There are characters in there.
Dick Van Dyke plays everyone.
But,
you never hear from them again.
But you would maybe they're not even like stuff that's not verbalised. They're things that are in people's heads, which obviously don't go onto the screen.
Right, what we're going to do now is normally, if you've never listened to the show before, we have a quiz round when we have all the guys here. And I've decided to do the quiz round first because it allows me to introduce some of the other things we're going to talk about, some of the features in the show, as questions, and then we can talk about them in a bit. So this is Ultimo Geek. Play along at home. So far this year, I believe that, Paul, you're winning.
I'm doing pretty well, yeah.
You are 1 point ahead of Raoul, who is joint, I think.
What's the last competition we did? Was it a Star Wars one? Or was it James Bond?
I can't remember, but this is your first time playing. So,
all right, then.
This is a real mishmash of just stuff.
Have you not got a list of who's winning?
Yes, you're winning. You're one ahead.
You are entirely taking this too seriously.
Well, I don't know what I can say. I don't think I'm particularly competitive.
But you want a fucking list of who's winning when
win.
You're winning. Question number 1 then. The prestigious Hugo Sci-Fi and Fantasy Awards were announced recently. One controversial nominee was a guy called Chuck Tingle. What kind of stories does Chuck Tingle write? Is it 1, zombie erotica, 2, dinosaur and unicorn erotica, 3, the continuing adventures of Adolf Hitler, or 4, fetus roller derby action books? So, which one of those, and you could sneakily show me your fingers, which one of those do you think it is? So, I've got your answer. What are you going with? And are you going with, Jamesy? So, you've all got it wrong. It's actually dinosaur and unicorn erotica.
Wow. Is there such a thing?
Well, Chuck Tingle writes it.
21st century.
With a name like, I don't think Chuck
right?
Tingle is his real name, do you?
Of course it is.
No,
So,
but whatever it does, it tingles in.
Question 2. It's still relating to this. Which of these is not a Chuck Tingle short story? So I've took 3 of these stories and then I've added my own invented one in. So question 1. Answer 1. Which of these not? 3 of them are. Answer 1. Professor T-Rex teaches me gayness. Answer number 2. Unicorn Butt Cops Beach Patrol. 3. Gay T-Rex law firm executive boner. Or 4. Captain Raptor space dinosaur blasting Uranus.
So one of these is not right.
One of these is not real. 3 of them are. So which of these is completely invented? So I'll just read them through again. Professor T-Rex teaches me gayness. 2. Unicorn Butt Cops Beach Patrol. 3. Gay T-Rex law firm executive boner. Or 4. Captain Raptor space dinosaur blasting Uranus.
I think I'm going to have to go for this.
So which one do you think's not real? So I've got your answer. What do you think? And You two, Paul and Rick, you are correct. It's Captain Raptor Space Dinosaur Blasting Uranus.
I thought it was too obvious.
I invented that one. The other three are actual real. Question number 3. Philadelphia-based biotech company BioQuark Inc. has just announced it's planning to do what? 1. Try and reanimate dead people. 2. Build a pond on the moon. 3. Send a baby cheetah into space. Or 4. Begin growing extra limbs as spare parts.
Ooh.
So they've just announced that they're going to start doing it very soon.
Okay.
Reanimate the dead.
I'm gonna go for that because I read a book not so recently, about a year ago, called. I'll tell you after I've done the answer.
So I got your answer.
Yeah.
So is it bring the dead back to life, pond on the moon, cheetahs in space, or extra limbs? And you've all gone for 4. It's actually they're going to try and reanimate dead people.
Wow.
You see, what confused me is Philadelphia. It's not California. In California, I can understand that. Californians apparently buy insurance against alien abduction. So, from that point of view.
I read a book called Spares about a year ago, which my cousin bought me, and it'd been on the shelf for some time. And it's all about this. It's all about a guy. It's all about an alternate reality where there are human beings that are bred in these biofilms, and they're just kept in complete, isolation, emotional isolation, and they're just left in these places so that spare parts can be used when people have accidents and stuff.
I like the island.
Like the island, yeah, I was going to say that.
It's like the island.
Spares, it's called.
Yeah, to be honest, they're not the brain dead. The people they're going to do it to. They're not obviously digging up a corpse, trying to bring them back. But we're going to talk about this in a little bit because it's
people who recently died, and they're trying to reach out.
Also, you've been brain dead for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
I'm going to guess.
So is that so they're looking at using.
We're going to talk about it in a minute.
All right, I'll shut up then.
So far on the old point score, I do believe that you got a point, and you've got a point. Okay, question number 4. Obviously, as a scientist, Florian, you know that you spend a lot of time on worthwhile causes, such as trying to bring the dead back to life. Okay. According to Stefan Llewellyn of Leicester University Centre for Interdisciplinary Science, Pinocchio's head would have weighed 4.18 kilograms, and his nose 6 grams, with an initial length of 1 inch, he thought. If his nose doubled in length every time he told a lie, how many lies would he need to tell before the weight of his nose would break his pencil neck? So science has discovered how many lies Pinocchio would need to tell before he killed himself. Is it 1, 8 lies, 2, 10 lies, 3, 13 lies, or 4, 21 lies? Come on, Florian, use science to answer this one.
There's too little information. So what I normally tell my students is never the answer.
Yeah.
It's like if you get multiple choice, right, and in something, and it says like A, B, C, D, E, or whatever, it's answers, and it's like E is like there's not enough information to answer the question. That's never the answer, usually.
So one of
these.
these.
In this case.
In this case, I would make the answer 5. There's not enough information to answer the question.
I've got your answer. What are you going for? Have you changed your mind?
No, it was the same as before.
Okay, I've got your answer.
I'm just doing the maths in my head.
In this hypothetical situation.
And
so his head is 4.18 kilograms. How much would it need to? How thick's his frigging neck? That's
we don't know what thickness is.
So is that?
And is his neck made from wood?
Yes.
Presumably, it can take quite a lot of pressure.
And it's going to be, as you get further away, the leverage puts a greater strain on the neck.
I don't know whether that makes a difference.
Oh, just give us the fucking answer.
You're correct, right. Paul. You are correct. It's 13. 13 lies to break Pinocchio's neck. So, well...
It's only 70, 80, 78
It's
grams.
13.
78 grams.
Anyway, so you're winning at the moment, Paul. Question number 5. In the original Star Wars films, what title was an Imperial Governor known by? Was it 1, Grand Moff, 2, Grand Hut, 3, Grand Muff, or 4, El Grande Minge? So which of those?
An Imperial Governor?
An Imperial Governor of a star system was known as a Grand Moff, a Grand Hut, a Grand Muff, or El Grande Minge. So I've got your answer, And I got your answer. Florian, you are correct. It's Grand Moff, as in Grand Moff Tarkin. Grand Hutt, you're thinking of Jabba the Hutt, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if his name had been changed.
It's the people the Hutts are. Question 6. What does Superman's S logo stand for? Is it 1, love, 2, hope, 3, balance, or 4, shitload of special effects but bugger all character development? So which of those S's is it?
So I was under the impression it stood for Superman.
No.
It stands for more than just Superman. If you want to add in another one, it's in the hope that I've not added the correct answer in.
So you should have said slug.
It's
Show
the symbol of his
balance.
house. It's the symbol of his house, but it has a
Yeah.
meaning.
It is. It's a symbol of the House of L.
Yeah, the House of L.
So what's your
L.
Yeah, Kal-El, isn't he?
Kal-El.
Jor-El.
I don't know.
And the correct answer, Florian and Paul, it's hope.
2, hope.
Yes, hope.
So I've got 3 there.
And Florian's got 2, and you're on
1.
1. Oh, you're going to catch him. Question 7. What is a tracker jacker? Is it 1, an assassin droid? 2, a device that opens fault lines in space and time? 3, a genetically altered wasp? Or 4, a persistent man who keeps following you while furiously wanking? So which of those is a tracker jacker? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I don't know. Which movie is this from?
Shall I name it to give it away?
I don't know what movie it is.
Oh, then it's from the Hunger Games.
Oh.
So it's an assassin droid, a device that opens fault lines in space and time, genetically altered wasp, or a wanking man. So I've got your answer. I've got your answer.
I've not seen the Hunger Games.
Florian, you're correct. It's a genetically altered wasp. You are now equal. Oh my word! We've got a challenge going on.
I would like to say it was skill. It simply wasn't.
I've seen the films, and I could vaguely remember the name, but...
Question number 8. When is Back to the Future Day?
Oh my goodness.
This is the day they go back to in the second film.
So, in the second film? Oh, nobody cares about that.
So number 1 is October the 21st, 2015. 2, October the 22nd, 2015. 3, October the 23rd, 2015. October the 24th, for my birthday, 2015. So I've got your answer.
I think it sounds better.
I've got your
Michael
answer.
J. Fox's mouth.
Are you confident about this one?
No.
Well, you and Florian are both correct. It is October the 21st. Florian,
No!
you move into the lead. And are you level? You're 2 now. You're one behind.
Oh no.
Wow,
Question 9. What series of numbers and or letters shows up in every single Star Wars movie? Is it 1, A113, 2, TK421, 3, 1138, or 4, DL44? And I've got your answer, Rick. I've got your answer, Paul.
I don't know.
And Paul has the correct answer. It's TK421.
Just felt right.
Come in, TK421. And the final question. This will decide who the winner is. Alex J. Murphy lives where?
Who is he?
I'm not going to tell you who he is. You've got to work it out. Alex J. Murphy. Normally just known as Murphy. He lives in San Francisco, New Orleans, Detroit, or New York.
I'm going for bullet point.
Yeah, yes, I didn't number these, did I? Stupid. And your answer. And everyone's gone for Detroit. Why were you humming the Axel F from Beverly Hills Cop theme tune then? Yes, it's correct. He's Robocop.
Mm.
Did you think it was Axel F from Axel Foley? And you still managed to get it right.
No, I did. Well, actually, yeah. I thought... I did think it was. But where did he come from? He came from Detroit as well, didn't he? And he went to California. Was it New York? No, I'm sure it was Detroit.
Was it Chicago or something like that? I can't remember. It might have been Detroit.
Oh, might have been.
Somewhere, the mean streets of somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, got it
Yeah,
right.
it's Robocop.
Yeah.
So well done. Joint winners
Draw.
this week. Well done between you two.
We win a joint.
You win a joint, yeah.
I don't smoke, so you can have it, Paul.
Right, and one of their questions there was
Hang on
about...
a minute. That's a massive assumption, isn't it?
You're an artist.
I do crystal meths, but I don't do.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Crystal meths. You're so popular. About that. I've been doing the crystal meths, everybody. What?
Is that one of your faults that was pointed out?
Yeah.
To crystal meth consumption.
You
She
massive
did
meth
make
head.
she did make a comment on the fact that my skin was in particularly bad health for someone who was 39 years old.
Right, let's talk about this then. This is called the Reanima Project. This is by that Philadelphia-based
Clearly a
biotech
problem.
company, BioQuark Inc. And what they're doing is they've got permission from the Institutional Review Board and the National Institute of Health in both the United States of America and India. They're obviously doing this in India because just in case it does turn into zombies, they don't want to do it in America. And what they're going to do is they're going to use a combination of different therapies to try and bring back brain dead people to life.
So not actually people who are medically dead. We're talking about just brain dead people.
Yeah, I think they'd be classed though as
Well, they're still physically alive. If you've got something like Alzheimer's and you become brain dead, or you've got some other illness where you are, your brain isn't functioning anymore, but you're still alive physically.
Is
You're
that
not actually
true?
dead, are you?
It depends on how much support they're having from interventory methods.
Well, it doesn't
as in machines that are keeping you breathing.
Alive,
and
yeah. This doesn't sound much different from what I'm hearing about stem cell research for conditions like Alzheimer's. People whose brains or investigating how the protons that settle on the brain have destroyed
proteins.
Sorry, not what did I say? Protons.
Proteins.
Proteins. Sorry, proteins that have settled on the brain have actually brain damaged the individuals. It sounds
I
there's
just
a lot of.
They are going to wait for them to die though. They actually, the moment they die, they then
because
begin
otherwise that would kill you.
it. Yeah.
But I just read the cocktail of peptides and I think, is it G&T or
I don't think they're going to drink them. Like all these corpses just stood up in like a wine bar or something. It's,
peptides mixed in with some TMO?
I'll give this a bit more information. This is how it's going to work. So, although brain-dead humans are technically no longer alive, their bodies can still apparently circulate blood, digest food, excrete waste, balance hormones, grow, sexually mature, heal wounds, spike a fever and gestate and deliver a baby. So what it is the idea that there might be some very minor electrical activity which they can hopefully kick-start or begin again.
Okay.
They're going to die, they're going to put them on life support, and then they're going to work on them over however many months. And they think that within 6 months they'll have some results. The idea that you could try and, stimulate them to come back.
Well,
But if they're dead, if this is the question that I'd like to kind of get my head around. Like Alzheimer's, for
I don't
example.
work for this company.
No, but I'm just interested to know. Alzheimer's sufferers, for example, they gradually get to a stage where they are brain dead. They are just, their brains have been damaged because of these proteins, and they cannot function. There's nothing going on, as far as I'm aware. So you
They're
have
not
to.
dead though, are they? The brain's just not functioning anymore.
Well, what's the difference between somebody being alive and functioning?
Well, presumably they can't
and-
suffer from massive organ failure because that's not what they're treating.
Am I missing something here?
Probably.
So they die. They do physically die.
They actually die.
Right.
These people, they're probably at the moment they're already brain dead.
So they were brain
They're
dead.
allowed to die. They die.
Right, and then they
And
regenerate.
then they put them on life support.
Right, okay.
And with them still on life support, they're going to then, with a combination of different things, this cocktail of drugs and stuff, and other therapies, they will try and bring them back.
So if they're
Like
dead,
occupational health therapy,
Yeah.
so
aversion therapy.
so they
You're
die,
no longer dead.
but do they die and then they're electrically brought back to life again, or
No, they're not going to bother resuscitate. They'll keep them alive, the body on life support systems, but then they're going to be doing stuff to try and kickstart brain activity again over a period of time.
right?
So this will be interesting because if you're essentially rebuilding the brain with stem cell techniques, what are you going to get out at the end of it?
I was
Are you
thinking
going
that.
to get people that are basically going to have to develop from childlike
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to
stages
get my head around.
again?
Because
Well,
once you're dead,
you-
I mean, I was going to say, sorry to interrupt.
No.
Just getting back to talking about, degenerative diseases. They destroy the brain's function. They erase the person, so to speak, because of these proteins and so on.
Is it
If there was some medicine that was invented, that was introduced, and they are talking about various different things, that was designed to try and re-engineer or bring these people back from this illness, then you wouldn't be able to do it. You can't, because the brain is damaged. So from the point, let's say, if you leave it 5 years, the damage is so much more severe than if it was left for 2 years. But you still can't reanimate that person's character again because of the damage that's been done. You can only stop it in its tracks.
You might
get
a new person,
Yeah.
but with fragments of memories from their old.
Well, you'd have to
learn everything.
Well, yeah, relearn everything. Yeah, absolutely. If that was the purpose of the exercise.
That's a little bit different. What you're saying is a little bit different from what they're doing, but it does say though that this is based on the idea that some creatures, and it says at the bottom, that amphibians and salamanders and stuff like that, and politicians can actually repair. They can regenerate parts of the brain.
Can't. Sorry, my
politicians don't have them. The idea that some of these creatures can repair their own brain. If you could harness that, so the idea that you could put someone into a state, inject them with stuff so that then the brain does begin to repair. I'm not saying you get the same person out, but those damaged areas could actually regenerate.
I'm just trying to ascertain. I think I was ascertaining exactly at what stage. You're saying that they die, and then they are put on life support. So what? So the brain, so the organs are still functioning.
Going, yeah, they keep the organs going.
Okay,
but how can
look at it a different way.
Yeah.
What if you had a person whose organs failed? You took the brain out of the body and you transplanted it in a new body, right? Then you still wouldn't get the same person back. It's quite an old philosophical problem. I mean, from like Descartes' substance dualism to modern day philosophical approaches. It's impossible to know. However, when you said after 6 months they'll have results, yes, because technically speaking, I suspect they will fail in trying to do what they are going to do, which is a result. It'll teach them. They'll learn from it that.
You can't reanimate the dead.
Yeah, that the brain is probably a lot more fragile than they think it is. And just shoving chemicals into it doesn't make a brain.
You say that, but just recently they've managed to generate new skin tissues with complex structures like hair follicles and sweat glands and stuff.
As long as you get, I'm not saying that you can't persuade stem cells to become new cells if you know the chemical cocktail that you need in order to, like hormones and so on, in order to bring that about. However, I think it's a whole new ball game to at the same time persuade the cells not just to morph into neurons but actually to make connections. Which I think is a whole new ball game. I'm not saying it's impossible either. I just think that injecting chemicals into an essentially dead brain is not going to do it.
Another thing that's
the balance of things.
Just been mentioned recently is the Italian doctor who has been supposedly granted permission to do the first human head transplant. And he's got a guy who's got this wasting disease. Yeah. He's agreed to have it done to him, and they're going to freeze his head, remove it, and then within you've got something like, I think it is an hour to then join it back up. And he has this. He calls it heaven and I can't remember exactly. I was just reading it the other day. Heaven and something. This process where he then connects up the different parts, and he believes that within about a year that guy will be able to walk and do stuff. Now again, a lot of other scientists are commenting saying it's bollocks. It won't work because they did it with a rhesus monkey, and then I think they had to put it down a couple of days after because its health declined massively.
But was the monkey's brain functioning? Was its head functioning?
Did they use a rhesus monkey's body? Is what I want to know. Did they use a human
rhesus
monkey head?
John Q. Monkey face. No, they put it. You can find pictures of it with its head stitched back on. Yeah. But it's a team of hundreds and hundreds of people involved with this head transplant they're going to try and do.
That begs the question: are they going to stick the human head on a human body or a marmoset or something like that?
You could do like the Isle of Dr. Moreau. They did discover recently, didn't they?
Mars attacks.
There's connections between the blood supply of the brain and the rest of the body, aren't they? Because they've always been. I'm sure I read about that recently. They've always thought it was kind of very separate and didn't know how it linked
But that's
up.
the blood-brain barrier.
Barrier, yeah.
But
That's not a lot of nasties from.
They found some little. They found something very fine. Some. I think it was a lady who found it. I was reading about recently. There is kind of a connection there, but it's exciting stuff. But it could all be bollocks, like you said. But even just a little bit of it works. How exciting!
Well, the research is never. Well, okay, I'd say it's never bollocks, but I mean, there was some research done on like spiders and drugs, which I think was widely publicised, and NASA also investigated why cornflakes went soggy in milk, apparently. But the thing is, if you're asking the correct questions from any sort of research, you can get new things out of it. So this just sounds a little bit like they needed a lot of money, and you know, if you ask for small things that you can do, your research questions tend to be small, right? If you're asking for just a few thousand, whatever, you know, drachma or something, then that's a whole different ballgame. When you're asking for billions, maybe, then you need to, you know, increase the stakes a little bit, and maybe that's what they're doing.
I guess they're only doing things like this because they feel that medical science is at a point where some of these things might be more feasible than they were in the past.
Or because people can imagine that might work conceivably, and therefore they're not as reticent about giving the money.
Yeah, there must be some premise or some research which is
I
going
mean,
to sort of say...
What's next? Sending people to the moon? I mean, no, ridiculous.
In my head, I imagine that the man who's got this idea to reanimate the dead has an office, and next door to him is a scientist sitting there who's thinking, bloke next door's had this fucking ace idea about reanimating corpses, and he's thinking, what can I come up with? And he thinks to himself, I wonder how many lies Pinocchio would need to tell before he broke his own neck.
But you know, you get that in science as much as in other disciplines. You get people like publishing under different sort of nom de plumes and so on, in order to sort of get more publications out. And it's all sorts of fraud. Mark Schoen was a physicist who used the same graph that he'd possibly even made up in like 17 different publications, and it took other science. So I wonder whether they've done due diligence. Are these people who purport to work in this for the scientific companies, are they in fact the writers for The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Did somebody actually check that out?
Yeah,
What I read it
one of the largest heists
could be a very
in the 21st
clever
century.
viral marketing thing.
Yeah.
Pretend it's science. People will report on it. Well, like, I've talked about that. It could all be a load of bollocks. But I will take it as read because I read it on a website which said it was a science news.
Well, if you've ever
Something
taught
on the internet.
If you've ever
Bollocks.
taught children, they will take what's on the internet as true a lot of the time. And so,
I mean,
why would
I
somebody write something on the internet that wasn't true?
I follow for
Children.
I follow children.
You need to stop that. It's locked up.
For personal reasons, I take an interest in
Children.
sort of
It keeps working.
I was going to say medical publications to do with
Children.
the general.
You're a monster.
Can I finish?
Children.
I finished.
Yeah.
Children. Yeah.
I was just going to say, actually, do you mind if we move on? Or did you want to say something about kids?
I didn't want to say anything about children. I was going to say something
Medical
quite serious
publications.
about medical publications to do with degenerative diseases, because particularly Alzheimer's, and there have been so many reports over the last 5-6 years about potential cures and potential things that drugs that are coming on the market, and it's always a case of
Yeah, it's the same with cancer. It's the same with cancer,
Yeah.
and it's usually just before, and this is my cynical side coming through, but just before another great big money drive. Say, oh, we're so close. If only we had the money.
Yeah.
And Cancer Research UK have shed loads of money. They've got so much money. I'm going to be very unpopular, but
Well, I'm not going to give them any more money after
well,
that.
there we are. But they've got a lot of money. But they at least they spend it, as opposed to, let's say, the Bill Gates and Melissa Gates Foundation, which were criticised for not spending a great. Now they've now since then spent it. But I'm very cynical.
I agree entirely with you.
I give lots of money to charity, by the way. It's just not, I just
Get that in there.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. I feel a little bit sort of cynical about things like this. I think it'd be wonderful if it was real and it did lead to something. If there was some amazing eureka moment when they took this guy's head off and stuck it on a marmoset and it worked, I think it'd be amazing.
Well, how would that benefit anything other than the people in the room thinking this is freaking amazing?
You'd get a
That you
mountain
could
charity
do it.
saying, "Stop that!"
What was the charity
Stop
you
it.
said that you didn't want to diss?
In Cancer Research UK.
Yeah, that was it. Cancer Research UK. I'm not particularly all that in awe of them because I've been into lots of their shops and I've not seen any signs. It's more old women selling knitwear and dead people's clothes and maybe some toys. I don't understand how they think they're going to find a cure for cancer doing that.
No.
That's just my piece on that one.
Yeah.
Now, you also mentioned the idea of scientists using pen names to do something for dodgy reasons, which leads us on to our next story, which we mentioned. One of the questions was about Chuck Tingle, this writer who's been nominated for the prestigious Hugo Awards. And now, some people have said that Chuck Tingle might not be a real person, it might be a collective of people, and it's suggested that he might actually be either working with or have been picked by this group called the Sad Puppies or the Rabid Puppies. And I'll explain it to you. The Sad Puppies and the Rabid Puppies are this group of people who are sci-fi fans, and they really don't like awards for science fiction which go to minority authors, people who are of different genders or sexualities. They want, basically, they think all good science fiction is written by white dudes. They don't like anything written by other groups. And so they want awards to go to white authors, and they kick off. So they've decided
Are they
that
white
they-
supremacists?
Are they superior authors because they're white?
they clearly believe that.
So there's part of a sort of white supremacy thing going on.
A little bit. And so what they've done is the Hugo Awards is completely voted for by the public. It's not by eminent people within science fiction authorship. So they've managed to, this group have, to use the internet and trollish people to get their man, this guy Chuck Tingle, added on. And the book that's actually been added on is called Space Raptor Butt Invasion. And this whole thing supposedly is politically motivated to basically show up the Hugo Awards.
Right.
And now you read some science fiction.
I do.
Are you familiar with Chuck Tingle?
I'm not familiar with Chuck Tingle now.
But are you tempted to go out and buy Space
No.
Raptor Butt Invasion?
No.
Do you think they might be taking the piss just a little bit with names like Space Raptor Butt Invasion? Do you think it's just a complete piss take?
Well, this is it. Is Chuck Tingle completely... There are books you can buy him on Amazon buy him. Is he part of this movement, or is he just a guy who's a nutter?
It sounds to me like it's part of the Dadaist approach to things, isn't it? Let's just take the piss out of it. 'cause
He's
it's
probably
all
are.
rubbish.
I want to know,
But
has
it
he been
feels-
chosen as the warrior of this group of people who want to ruin and they want to show up?
Yeah.
It fails to do that though, because all they're doing is they're saying the process by which Hugo Award nominations are received is faulty. That's what they're saying. They're not actually showing that. But Chuck Tingle, let's say he's white. How is that a good, example of somebody who writes superior science fiction? Plus, they haven't read, presumably very widely. They just assume that, let's say, stuff published in either Europe or America, which is popular, is good. But I can name absolutely people who are not born in America and who are quite alternative. Asimov among them. I mean, Asimov was white, yes, but he was born in Russia, and then he fled. Well, his parents, no, they didn't flee, but they moved to America and so on. He was very alternative, and he has got people like Stephen K. Dick, and they have immense amounts of alternative views, and for that time,
American Splendor, for example, that's another
they
good
would
one.
they would be absolutely, I think, annoyed.
That's not a science fiction book.
No, it's not. You're right.
Robert
Thank you for throwing that one in there.
Robert
Well, it's
Heinlein,
No,
for
it's-
example, in his time,
It's
he wrote in the
alternative.
50s.
It's alternative, though.
Robert Heinlein wrote in the 50s, and he wrote Starship Troopers, which was then made regrettably into
A great film.
by Verhoeven.
Aliens and tits.
Yeah, but Verhoeven normally makes really good films, but that one was not good. But he had radical views on equality and so on. And he was if you read his books, they're fantastic reasons for equality. They're not like we need to suddenly treat women differently. No, they're real logical accounts, for why people shouldn't be treated differently. and encased in science fiction. And even though you can argue that the people who are published were maybe mainly white, that's because the publishing industry is mainly white, and it's a panel bias. Of course, they're going to choose the people that they know, and the people that they know will sell. It has nothing to do with talent. Otherwise, you're going to say, how many disabled
You're saying Chuck
actors are there?
Tingle's not talented.
No, I'm saying how many disabled people are there in Hollywood playing in major parts of
Very,
films,
very little. Like
and are they all not talented? I doubt it.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering...
How
You're
many
saying
Hollywood stars play their role with a broken leg?
You're saying that they
That's
sell.
not a permanentism.
Jackie
You're saying
Chan.
that they sell to the middle ground because that's where the money
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's not white either.
That's
To
true.
the
What I was going to say is, I wonder, to be honest, if this is not... I would just in my head, I would guess that the people who are voting for Chuck Tingle, although he might have merits, probably aren't actually science fiction fans. The next thing I want to talk about is the AP Code by Alex Pack. This is a unique music project. He messaged me over Twitter saying, can you have a look at this? It's a blend of music, because Alex Pack, the man behind it, is a musician, and it's the songs that he records are all based around a storyline about a fictional place called Artax, Park City. And it's not famous, it's hidden. I didn't write it before you look at the spelling. And it's about this mysterious city where the character of Alex Pack goes to, and it's the story of him in this city. And there's also a woman that his story is intertwined with. And so these stories are going to be all about the people living within this mysterious city. Now, he's just released a book with an accompanying CD soundtrack called Dreams, and the stories have been written with a woman called Shannon Eden, who is an English writer, and the stories are, there's 10 stories all about this chap Alex Pack, who's the main character as well as the actual musician, and this girl Christy, who he keeps running across. And each of these 10 stories is based in a slightly different version of Artex City. In one, there's a dictator. In another one, Alex Pack's a renowned singer. In another one, his girlfriend is. And so all of these stories show how he comes together with her, and then the romance is always doomed to fail. And actually, the book Dreams, which you can get from alexpackmusic.com, written by Shannon Eden, is actually quite good. The little short stories are really well written. I quite enjoyed it, actually. And then there's the songs. Now we listen to some of the music. You weren't keen on the music, were you, Rick?
Yeah, I listen to the music or a couple of bits of the music without the first bit without the video. Not my kind of thing. I don't know if it misses some of the context without seeing it with the...
You've not. I've read all the stories, whereas you've
Yeah.
just been shown some quick bit. I think probably does. It's very kind of pop, slightly poppy, the music. I like
At the end
it.
of the day, not everybody likes the same music, so it's not going to be for everyone.
Yeah, it's true. But I just like the idea of that he's created, and he's got these other... He works with a chap called Imran Khalid as well. I just like the idea of this world that he's created, and then he tells it through this emotion comic on his Facebook page. If you look up the AP code Alex Pack, you'll find it on Facebook, and there's a little motion comic on there which tells the beginning of the story.
I think the concept's interesting. From what we saw, I haven't listened to very much of the music. What I listened to seemed a bit cheesy. It wasn't my kind of music. Having said that, the whole
You like
premise-
shit music, though. Let's be fair, listeners. And you could hear some of the bollocks that he listens to.
I thought the premise would sound quite interesting. I thought it sounded quite interesting. It was like a play on something new, something different. And that's always got to have. That's always got a value if they're trying to push the genre forward somewhat.
I want to see how it's going to continue. If it is going
Seems
to...
a little bit self-indulgent, that little bit you showed us.
Well, the fact that Alex
video.
Pack is the main character and the musician. I think it's like a vehicle for his music. He's decided,
Yeah.
I want to put my music out, but I want it all to be kind of strung together through a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of makes sense, I suppose, doesn't it? I thought it'd be something that you really like, because whenever I've seen you write anything, it's always about how miserable you are and the girls that like you. So I thought it would. And I've seen pictures of Alex Pack.
Is this part of
his haircut looks a little bit like
Is
yours.
this part of your payback month? Is it? Is it part of the payback the attack month?
Punishment month, it's
Punishment
called.
month. Yeah.
Listeners,
Yeah, there we go.
whenever Paul slags off my
I was sat
girlfriend,
here and said nothing for about 2 hours, and as soon as I open my beak, you're down my throat.
hello.
I think you know what I
I thought we
mean.
weren't going to talk
You
about
can't
our trip
see
to the
this,
cinema.
but it's happening.
I think they could. If
How am I
they could
speaking
hear
with my
it-
mouthful?
Yeah, he slagged off Lisa's job,
No, I
so
didn't.
I'm going to punish him. I told him before. You told her to was it shut the before,
Oh, for crying
and
out
so you
loud.
had a month of punishment. So punishment month has begun again. It's my way of modifying your behaviour.
Oh, is it? Some sort of
Yeah.
social conditioning? Let me see the errors of my ways. What a terrible person I am.
Well, you told me today, please
Well,
don't
I-
punish
what
me in
completely-
the car.
Huh?
You said to me today, please don't punish me. Oh no, go easy on me with punishment month, you said. So you acknowledge that it's a thing, you acknowledge that you deserve it, and you're just saying, can I be
didn't
lenient?
acknowledge anything. I just said, it's my way of saying, please don't be horrible to me.
Anyway, Florian, let's not talk about our own personal issues. What did you make of the AP code?
Yeah, it's not necessarily not my cup of tea, but yeah, I'd give it a go.
I think it's an exciting idea, all these different things being weaved together.
It's a lot of effort. That's for
Oh
sure.
shit, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a Patreon,
If you-
Alex Pack doesn't go
That's
to.
the thing. I mean, just because I don't like it doesn't mean other people will absolutely love it.
It's interesting though, because there is a lot of cross-media convergence going on there.
The problem
I
I
like
think with having music involved is, and this is the same, if you ever get people to analyse music, it's very difficult for people to analyse music fairly that they don't like the style of music. Almost impossible.
Yeah.
So if you
become subjective straight
if
away,
you don't like the type of slightly pop-esque music that Alex Pack does, I think that could severely impact on how you engage with the story.
I think it's a worthwhile activity, and I can see the merit in what they're trying to do by creating something new, by trying to merge these different strands. I can see that.
I like it. It's
I haven't read it properly to actually, or listen to the music in depth to really form a decent opinion. What we saw in those brief minutes we looked at it, it seemed like a worthwhile activity.
I like it.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. I was going to say I'd probably be more engaged if I enjoyed the music, and by tying the stories to the music, if you don't like the music, then you're unlikely to give much merit to the storytelling as well at the same time.
Well, that's obviously not Alex Pack's fault. That is my fault, because I only give you a few moments to preview stuff. I've read the book. I've listened to the album. From the out, if I listened to the album without reading the stories, I'd probably be like, yeah, it's poppy kind of stuff. Not something. It's not AC/DC. So, which is what when it's to any music. Is it AC/DC? No, it's not AC/DC. Or The Sweet. You know,
That's the bar that everything's measured by, isn't it?
after reading the stories, I really liked listening to the music. It was an extra dimension, and I liked seeing the motion comics. The only thing I'd like to see more of is more comic book stuff from him. I want to see him tell the stories. He did a little film bit as well. There's a bit where he's in this little bar, which is live action film. I want to see a comic strip of one of the stories told. Because he's got drawings on there, if you look at it, and they're quite interesting looking drawings. But it's a good idea, so we all agree. Great idea, want to see more. If you want to support Alex Pack, you can go to alexpackmusic.com or go to patreon.com/AP code and you can support him and actually get yourself involved in the story. Well worth it. The last thing, two things we're going to talk about. First one is Comic of the Week, and it's called Safe House, and it's by Scottish photojournalist Mark Ellison. He has put together, it's the second version of one of these he's done, and it's a graphic novel 2.0 that mixes illustration, video and stills, and you can find it at Mark Ellison, that's MarCellison.com. You can find it at the website, and it's stories about real people who have experienced, either been threatened with or have it done to them, female genital mutilation. And it's about this safe house that actually does exist, and the stories of some of the women who have gone there. Let's start with Florian. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it's obviously a worthy subject, but it's not done in a worthy way. You know, like it's quite it's very impressive. I think in all the right ways. So it's professionally done, obviously, because it's a professional photographer and so on. And it's probably I didn't obviously get a chance to listen to everything, but it's probably done with the necessary gravitas and dignity, and I think that's the thing in things like that. It has to be done with dignity for the people, but not without giving the information at one point. So it's very, very good, I think.
The illustrator is Daniel LaFrance in that one. What did you make of it, Paul?
Again, as before, I just think anything which tries to strengthen the genres that exist already for comic books, I think is worthwhile. Like what I saw was a mixture, a hodgepodge of different things. The idea that you can click on something. This is something you can do now with the internet. Not having a comic book in front of you, but actually read a comic book on the internet and then merge it with real life, real sort of video graphics or videos, sound bites or whatever. If it adds some sort of dimension, some sort of depth to what already exists, and that's worthy.
It's a compelling way of telling a real story.
Exactly.
Real story.
And the fact that it was real, that it's actually based on something which is actually taking place. Yeah, good.
Yes, I liked the fusion of the old fashioned graphic illustrations merged with newer technologies. It's kind of almost like a forerunner of if you can get the internet back onto like a paper-like material, where you could then play it the other way round, where it's something that you could be reading but then interact with video media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you've watched a lot of sci-fi, in the past there's been quite a lot of this. Oh, you have your newspaper and it's got video playing on it and stuff like that.
I guess in a way, something like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have had tablets which could do that sort of thing.
Exactly.
And now you've got some sort of
device that can.
It makes you to have it with you.
It makes you pay closer attention as well, because you go from frame to frame, but some of them contain videos, so you realise you can actually click on it.
Yeah, some are photos as well.
I have to stop and think about this as well. I remember when I studied interactive media at university, and it was cutting edge. People were doing CD-ROMs at that time. The idea that you could actually create some sort of knowledge chain or strand where people could get bits from over here. The fact that that we were looking at ways of I'm trying to think of the guy's name. There was a guy that we studied, Vannevar Bush, who invented this. We heard this guy, Vannevar Bush. He'd invented this thing in the 1940s, and it was an interactive table where information was stored in the same way because he'd studied the way that the brain worked in terms of getting information, and that the idea that a book reading from A to B wasn't as stimulating as a way of interacting with bits of information or delving into bits of information. So this idea of interactivity, this way of learning something, was going on in the 1940s. It was quite compelling. And as a student reading this stuff, I was really, really enthralled by all of this. We kind of forget that now the way that we use these devices is we just do it intuitively. We don't really think about it. And the way that we're able to access film, video, written information, it's we just take it for granted. Our brains just naturally assimilated.
It's interesting that you, as a young student, kind of fascinated with Bush, and now you, as a grown man.
I liked the illustration, by the way. I found it very engaging.
It was well done. He's done a good job. Yeah, what I'd say is
a comic book.
It was like proper graphic novel.
Yeah.
When I found this, and I was going to talk about it, I thought, I want to do it for the podcast, but I thought, am I going to really enjoy the stories because of the subject matter being quite kind of dark? But actually, I found it very compelling to hear the stories of the women. So it was very good. So check that out. That's markellison.com, Safe House. And he's done some other things like this before. Finally, I want to talk about our upcoming convention of the week. Oh look, it's other podcast member Andrew who's just turned up. We're at the end of the show now, you asshole. So this convention that's coming up is on Saturday, May the 28th in Sunderland. It's called Wonderlands. This is the second one that they've done. Last year's was such a big success.
It's a 5G phone, that.
And it's going to be all about graphic novels. So if you're into graphic novels, you'll get a chance to meet and speak with. They're going to talk by some top people like Steve Bell. He's their satirical cartoonist on The Guardian. People like Mary Talbot, who is obviously married to the great Brian Talbot. There'll be people like Paul Grevett there and stuff like that. So, and also Yomi Ayeni, who we spoke about. He did Clockwork Heart, which is that steampunk comic book we reviewed several months ago. It looks like it's going to be a brilliant event. It was amazing last year from what I hear. I've not been to it. But if you actually are interested in the graphic novels and you want to meet some of the artists and speak about it, there's a whole bunch of different workshops and stuff you can do there, such as making your own comics, talking to the creators and seeing what they do. So that is in Sunderland, and that is coming up at the end of this month on Saturday, May the 28th. Go to it. So that's all for this show. Andy, how have you been? Anyway, just turning up at the freaking end of the show.
I'm fine, yeah. Have you had a good podcast?
Yeah, have you? You arrived a while ago and you've been hiding out in my house.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt. You sounded like in full flow, so...
What have you been doing?
Just talking to Lisa.
Keeping me company on
We have been in...
I can't really rephrase that.
That's right, yeah. No,
we're going to have a conversation at the end of the
show. And you've also won...
I'm never going to be seen again.
You've also won Ultimate Geek, by the way.
Have I?
Yeah.
How? By not playing?
No.
Yeah, everybody wins
by proxy.
Apart from Rob.
Anyway, if this is the first show you've ever listened to, Andy is last year's winner of Ultimo Geek.
Yeah.
No one knows how he won it, but you look tussle tonight.
Sorry?
What was I was going to say, you look very tussled. Tousled, your hair is all over the place.
It's just been on the bed with Lisa.
It's been romping with my missus.
I bet Andy knows Chuck Tinkle, though.
I found a book that you would like just before we go.
Chuck Tinkle.
Space Raptor Butt Invasion.
He's being nominated for one of the most prestigious science fiction book awards.
Invasion?
Yeah. Is that you on the front of it?
Do you want to go back through some of the other titles?
Is that in your book?
Yeah.
Yes, it is, yeah.
That was on the quiz.
But I'll ask you what this is question 2. One of these isn't a real name, the other 3 are. These are all by Chuck Tingle. So, Professor T-Rex teaches me gayness, Unicorn Book Cops Beach Patrol, Gay T-Rex Law Firm, Executive Boner, or Captain Raptor Space Dinosaur Blasting Uranus. So, which of those do you think's not real, Andy?
Probably the 4th one.
Yeah, oh damn it! I spent ages coming up with that.
I think it was disguised.
It seems quite
sound
like
it.
It does sound like quite like you, that one does.
Anyway.
Professor T-Rex teaches me gayness.
that is the end of this week's show. So thanks for coming along, chaps. Nice to good first show from you, Rick.
You're welcome. Invite me along again. And
Well, for a man
I'll
who's
probably turn up.
generally described as a robot, you've done very well today. Well done. So good stuff. You're like Mr. Data, isn't he? But anyway, thank you, Florian. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Andy,
very much.
you can get here on time next time, you dick. And James, he says goodbye from me, goodbye from Paul.
Bye-bye.
By Florian,
Bye bye.
Andy,
Bye.
bastard, and Rick.
Good night.
That was ghastly.